And in my experience, the way you will approach the first 3 months out there is going to be decisive for the rest of your career. Hi everyone, my name is Nico Ricchini. I am a freelance dance artist, and my mission is to help people navigate their lives through dance. Today, I am sharing with you 5 tips to help you survive and transition from the moment of finishing your academic dance school training into the professional world. It can be very scary, and in my experience, the way you will approach the first 3 months out there is going to be decisive for the rest of your career. Number 1, organize your routine. Training, as I always say, is key. And training is going to be the first thing that you're going to notice that you lose once you go out of school, once you finish your academic training in dance school. I actually often say to the dancers that when we start the programs or even during the season, I wish now that I would be able to enroll in one of these programs just because it's so easy to dance. You basically go to a place, you take classes, and you go home, and you don't have anything else to really think about. Unless obviously you are working in order to pay the fees for the programs, which is totally understandable. But apart from this, in terms of what you are doing for dancing, there's not much else that you need to do. Everything is basically served on a plate. So this is why your training and your schedule are going to be key for you to keep aligned with whatever your goals are in terms of dance. It's going to keep you afloat in the moments that it's going to get harder. And that's why that's one of the first things that you need to put in place. Where am I going to train? Who am I going to train with? What kind of training am I going to follow? Should I do another kind of training so my practice is a bit more enriching? Is it in alignment with my approach of dance? These are the kind of questions that you need to ask yourself in order to make sure that you're going to find the proper structure to support you through training, and also something that you can rely on. And actually, it leads us to our second tip. Number 2, stay connected. Going through this phase of post-academic training is going to be quite difficult. It's going to be quite tough. Let's be totally real. No one has ever left school and said, oh, that's amazing. And now I just feel free and everything is so easy. It can be super nice. It can be very beautiful. And there's definitely a beauty in it. But it also gets very tough. And actually, we talk a lot about natural selection at the moment that people enroll into a dance program, because obviously some people are not necessarily shaped or made to follow these kind of programs, but they wanted to try, and fair enough, it's super important to actually try to do it. But this, for me, is kind of a second step into the natural selection. So basically, after your dance training, if you don't have all the tools in order to keep going, to push yourself, to sustain yourself, you are not going to go anywhere. And one of the ways to actually make sure that you get there, apart from your training, is to make sure that you can rely on people. You have to create a system around you, a network, a web of people that are going to help you going through the whole process. Obviously, the first ones you will think of are your schoolmates. They have the same interests, they probably have the same experiences, and they're going to be able to really relate to what you are going through. Obviously, your family and your other friends who are not dancing are also going to be there to support you as much as they can. But it is true that the people who are actually from the dance world are going to be the ones who can really help you and support you through the whole journey and through the whole process of basically growing up and becoming a professional. So make sure that you stay connected to your schoolmates, celebrate whatever you have to celebrate for each other, and also support each other through any situation that you will come across. Number 3, be patient. By experience, I can see that most of the dancers who stop their training, who finish their training, actually it takes around 2 or 3 years for them to have a first breakthrough, which is long. It doesn't mean that during 2 or 3 years they're not going to be able to work, but that's not necessarily going to be the kind of work that they want to. Sometimes they have to combine with other kind of jobs, which as a personal advice, I always recommend that if you need a side job, try to get a job that is at least related to the arts or something related to dance, because it's always going to be harder to come back to dance when you start to have a certain security in terms of money provided by another kind of job. So you will need to be patient, be resilient, because it's going to take time for the universe to help you to achieve your breakthrough. It's going to take time, obviously, for you to connect with the right people, connect with the right structures, go in the place that is going to be the right one, and be the person that actually you need to be in that moment so you can have your breakthrough. You're going to get there, but be patient. Number 4, be proactive. When you are at school, you are served everything on the plate. You don't have to look for any classes, you don't have to research about any teacher, you don't have to look for information for auditions, because most probably the school is going to help you with this. You don't have to schedule anything because everything is organized, and all this structure just disappears whenever you stop your training. So that means that now it is your responsibility, and only your responsibility, not the one of your friends, not the one of your family. It's only your responsibility to be able to keep training and stay connected with the rest of the dance world. So actually you will need to find out how to find the information online and offline, because there are structures, there are websites, there are resources of information that can help you to get through. And obviously there are a lot of tools that freelance dancers can use now to be better prepared for auditions or be better prepared for the training. And that's something that you will need to figure out by yourself, and you will need to approach by yourself. So you need to be very proactive. Actually, when I finished my first job, from which I got fired, but that's gonna be for another story, because I went straight into this job after my dance training. When I got fired, I suddenly found myself with whatever my friends had experienced when they stopped their training. So they suddenly found themselves panicking with nothing to rely on but themselves. And I was finding myself in this situation, and I didn't cope with it very well. Actually, the first 2 months, I just watched TV the whole day. I just ate Burger King and junk food almost every day, and I was not doing anything with my life. I was just there, kind of like depressed, because obviously I had gotten fired from my first job, so it was kind of like a hard thing to take on. I also didn't really know how to move on to the next step of my life, because I had not been given these tools in order to keep moving forward. Fortunately, some of my friends, and that's why I'm saying that it's so important that you rely on your friends, some of my friends and my family really noticed how much I was kind of like letting dance and my career slipping away. So they came to me and told me that it was time for me to get back out there and start auditioning, start taking workshops, because that was what was going to help me to connect with the people, connect with the artists. And eventually it did, because I started to go to more workshops, I started to go to auditions, and eventually it led me to go to a very important audition, and then I eventually landed a job within 2 or 3 months. Being proactive is not only about just doing things and just only being in the action. It's also in a mindset of not letting things just happen and not be passive in terms of the opportunities that I can get around in my life. So the sooner you start to be proactive, the better. Number 5, plan ahead. So I used to be very volatile in terms of like how do I use my calendar, etc. But now I think I've kind of like mastered the way I am working on my calendar, and it's all about balance, obviously, like everything in life. I'm trying not to write every single thing, but I'm also trying to make sure that I assign the time that I need to for the very important stuff. And at the moment that I was starting to freelance, obviously it was very hard because I didn't really have the connections, I didn't really have the resources in order to have a lot of projection in terms of my work. To be a bit more specific, when I started during the first few years, I didn't really manage to have more than a 3-month projection in terms of what I was gonna do as work, apart from classes, obviously. But as a dancer, which is my main game, I had to wait a few years before actually getting a longer projection for my work. So right now I can say very easily that I am on a 12-month projection. So now I know that I know exactly what kind of work I will have in 12 months, which is a lot of security and also a lot of luxury, but I've also worked for it, so that's why. But this is so important also for me because I do love and I do enjoy being a freelancer. And actually what I noticed is that the moment I actually started to plan ahead, it allowed me to be more productive. It allowed me to actually have information so I could schedule other projects. It allowed me actually to have a lot of peace of mind, focus my energy way more so I wouldn't like try to find job for wherever, whenever in the world, whenever in time. But it actually helped me to focus on, oh, okay, I know that I have these 2 months, I don't really have anything, I just have a few classes. Okay, now when I'm gonna be approaching schools or companies, I'm gonna be focusing on this period and see if they have anything to offer and anything I can collaborate with. So actually, planning ahead is actually very good for your mental health, so start planning ahead. It's all for today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like, comment and follow if you found it relevant. And once again, my mission is to help people navigate their lives through dance. I will see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.